Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more.
Hey guys, welcome to Be Tech. It's Basil here at MWC 2015, and this video is all about how the HTC One M9 stacks up against the iPhone 6 Plus. If you want just an in-depth hands-on with the M9, then check out my other video on that. But to find out how the two flagships stack up against one another, keep watching. Both of these metal phones feel super premium, but we kind of prefer the M9's design from the offset. Why? Because look, those bezels up top and bottom are being made use of, boom sound speakers. It isn't as thin, but it has a rounded backing, nice and ergonomic in the hand. Ultimately, what you end up with is a phone with flatter sides than its predecessor, so it's instantly easier to hold. It looks great, and it's got this new two-tone finish, gold sides and a silver back. The M9's also a bit of a powerhouse because you've got that octa-core processor in there, 3GB RAM, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Starting with that design, it really is a high point. The iPhone 6 Plus is no slouch in the design front. That metal backing feels super rich. The styling is an instant classic, and the fit and finish really does come together really beautifully. What you also have is a bigger device, 5.5-inch screen as opposed to a 5-inch display on the HTC One M9. You also have a brilliant fingerprint scanner, and that really does allow for us to give Apple some leeway in terms of that massive bezel, at least on the bottom. But how do they stack up against each other? Well, design-wise, if we take a look at the key elements around the phones, you can see on the right-hand side of the HTC One M9 is a volume button and power button set. You've also got a nano SIM slot down at the base, micro USB connection and a 3.5mm jack. Left hand side no buttons, but this is expandable. 32GB onboard memory and micro SD expandability, and you've got an infrared blast. Appeal is pre-installed the application, so it's a TV remote control as well. You also have this beautiful brushed metal silver finish. It's available in a range of colors, and a 20-megapixel camera. Dual flash, one warm, one cool in order to deliver the best white balance possible. You know what else has one warm, one cool flash? The iPhone 6 Plus. This is a true tone flash as Apple brands it. You do have a much slimmer chassis on this thing, 7.1mm, and it does feel thinner. It's a really nice kind of slice of a phone. Metal frame, very premium, rounded corners, softer in-hand feel. Right-hand side power button, down at the base lightning connector, loudspeaker, single loudspeaker, nowhere near as good as the speakers front-facing boom sounds on the HTC One, and you do have a 3.5mm jack. Left hand side you've got the toggle, volume buttons, no buttons up at the top, flip side that camera we spoke about earlier, and NFC on both, although the NFC on the iPhone is used exclusively for Apple Pay, so it can't be used for stuff the HTC's NFC can be used for, such as mobile payments to other services and data transfer, or at least data transfer initiating. Taking a look at those screens, IPS versus SLCD3, two beautiful panels, great viewing angles, 400 pixels per inch, 441 pixels per inch, very similar. We prefer HTC's obviously in the sense that it's sharper, but we're not really wanting for very much with the iPhone 6 Plus's display in any way. They really do look great. Also, bezels on both devices are quite heavy, with they're accounted for with those speakers and that button, though up at the top, we would have really liked if Apple had shrunk down that bezel and not necessarily gone for that symmetry right there. As for what's inside the screen, it's Android versus iOS. iOS 8 has some new advantages. You can pull down Search Spotlight, for example. You can also pull up and you can access some quick toggles, pull down notifications tray, and you can also have a few widgets in the notifications tray as well. If we double tap the fingerprint scanner, we can bring everything down a tad so smaller hands can navigate around the user interface easily. Sense 7 on top of Android 5.0 on here also has some cool new enhancements. My favorite, the fact you can change the theme out super easily. Take a picture, for example. I took this picture of my cat Jasper, and it will make an entire theme around a picture, so it has black elements, for example, for blink feed. So if I apply that picture, not only does it change the background wallpaper, it also, as you can see, blink feed now has gone from being in a cream color to a black color right there. It complements the whole picture really nicely. And as you can see, the icons are changed up and it really nicely themes everything. So it's very easy to make things nice and personal. The way you can do that also is a piece of cake. Just take a picture of something. Once you take that picture, tap the themes button, which appears in the menu at the base, and you can just swap out your theme like that. Really simple. Speaking of those cameras, if we jump into them, you can see Apple's camera is always really nice and easy to get your head around. There is literally a button to take a picture, record a video, etc. You swipe through modes by swiping, and there aren't that many modes. You can't take full manual by default, but you can install an application that gives you access to full manual camera taking if indeed you're an enthusiast. Also, the 8 megapixel sensor on Apple's cameras always perform really well. Apple just does magic with post-processing, and they don't over soften, they don't over sharpen. It's just a really decent camera with optical image stabilization as well. Front-facing FaceTime camera. The front-facing camera on the HTC One M9 is a real high point. Ultra pixel, 4 megapixel camera, big pixels so that it can get loads of light in it, really good at noise handling. 20 megapixel camera on the back, not such a highlight. There are certain elements that are amazing. You can apply themes, like we said, from the pictures you take really nice and quickly, and you can also tweak your pictures. You can play with them, you can change them up, you can merge two faces into one if you really want to. But the ultimate quality from it isn't phenomenal in low light. That big sensor just doesn't cope. Having said that, in good light, the detail is fair and the digital zoom is much improved over its predecessor. We just wish that it had that bit better low light performance, but one thing it can do is record 4K, and the iPhone 6 Plus cannot. As far as processing power goes, they differ quite a lot. The HTC One M9 packs a Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor, clocked 4 cores at 2.2 gigahertz, 4 cores at 1.5 gigahertz. It's got 3 gig RAM. It's a real powerhouse in virtually every respect. As for the iPhone 6 Plus, it packs an Apple A8 chipset. They make their own, and it has 1 gig of RAM. Doesn't sound like a lot, but Apple's operating system iOS is significantly more efficient than Android's, and performance is very smooth across it. It also, like we said, doesn't have that many pixels to push both of these phones being full HD as opposed to quad HD. What you can also expect from both phones is great connectivity, although the HTC One M9 will pack faster connectivity speeds thanks to that Qualcomm Snapdragon 810 processor, delivering up to Cat9 LTE if your network supports it. You can get, I think it's up to Cat4 LTE on the Apple iPhone 6. If you're in the UK, you can get Cat6 LTE up to 150 meg per second on the HTC One M9. The HTC One M9 only has 32 gig, whereas you can get the iPhone 6 Plus in 16, 64 or 128 gigabyte varieties. You can expand the HTC One M9 by a micro SD card by 128 gigs, so that is massive. Definitely think you're going to win out if you get the HTC One M9 on the storage front. Battery wise, you've got a 2915 milliamp cell in the iPhone 6 Plus. You have a 2840 milliamp cell in the M9. Technically speaking, given the fact that the screen is smaller and there's not that much difference in it, you should get better battery life out of the M9, but Apple's iOS again is more efficient than Android for battery consumption and background app data usage, so we're going to throw it out there. We reckon that they'll be about even, or if anything, the iPhone 6 Plus should win out in the battery stakes. But we're going to wait until we get the M9 in for review, which shouldn't be too long from now. That has been my comparison between the M9 and the iPhone 6 Plus. Hopefully you've enjoyed our video. If you did, click that like button. If you like BTech in general, then subscribe. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything that we do, especially all the stuff we've got coming for MWC 2015. Thanks for watching.